Well, good morning, my beloved brothers and sisters in our Lord Jesus Christ. All the young people. Bring with me, of course, the love and greetings of our sister Ecclesia in Counts. I know everyone always asks about how everyone in Troy is doing. Give them the updates, and so that I can send their love with them. I don't know if I ever told the story before, but it's about people taking a trip in a boat, and a storm comes. Almost everybody's panicking, and they're running to and fro on the deck of the boat. The ship's going down. We're going to die. We're going to die. Everybody's panicking except for this little girl. And this little girl is sitting there, calm as can be. This guy comes up with him and says, what are you doing? The ship's going down. Why are you so calm? He says, no. I went up to see the captain, and he smiled. And I've been on this boat before. You see, the captain is my dad. And we've been through storms like this before, so I'm not worried. And so that sometimes we find ourselves like that, and there's a saying that I heard, if you pray during the calm, you'll be calm during the storm. So in the times when we're not afflicted with the storm of life, if we pray as much during the calm, we'll be calm when the storm comes. And Sister Dorothy asked if I did any hymns. I always know the right ones we picked out, and the first two were perfect. And that's how our life is. There's periods of calm and there's periods of storm. We always have to pray, especially during the calm, because we know the storm will come. That's our lot in life, our promise. There will be times when Christ said that the servants are not greater than the master. And so therefore we have to remember that and to pray during the calm. That has nothing to do with the exhortation, but I thought there's a good point that actually the hymn reminded me of the story. Anyway, we had, usually I give an exhortation, and as right before I get up, I got all these notes on here, and I gave this one at Couts a few months ago. And anyway, as I go over it again, it's never the same exhortation at any rate. I have basic thoughts, and it's pretty much the same. But this was a few months ago. It might have been a month or two ago. And I always try to bring on some of the big events that happened in the news. And this was a couple of the big events at the time I gave the exhortation. Was British and Russian ties were really strained at that point. There was a reporter that was assassinated with a radioactive poison. You probably heard about it. And Russia wanted the assassin to be extradited from Russia. And Russia's like, no way, this is against our Constitution. Anyway, it caused a big diplomatic dispute. And Britain ended up expelling a lot of Russian diplomats from the country. And Putin came back with, well, we will respond accordingly. That's all he said. And I haven't heard anything else about it. But last weekend I was talking in front of Chad, and he had read where Russia did the European Union's army. This is like huge. This is exactly what we've been looking for. And the fact that they made this bid to be the army for the European Union is incredible. To me, the greatest things happened since reunification of Germany. This is absolutely huge. And it's just a little footnote in the news because who cares? What's that mean? Right? But we see these earthquakes all over the world. There was one recently in Japan. We had the Pope reject all the other Christian churches, saying they had a grievous wound because they don't recognize me as the head of all Christian churches. That was big. And in the same week he announced that there was a settlement in LA for priest abuse of children for $660 million. So I thought that was a significant number. I wonder if it was 666 million, and then they bargained it down. But anyway, the point was that the Pope saying we're this great church, and the same week they have to pay the $666 million. Anyway, we see the lying power in Iraq. fact in the city of Boston, written there right now. Isaiah 66 tells us. We see all these signs of the times that are abundant, and it should keep us on our toes at any rate. But last night I was going through some of the old photo albums down in the basement, and I was looking at a trip we took to Manitoulin when we were little kids. And could have been much older than Kate. I was probably a year or two old. All those little boys are out there in their pajamas. And Grandpa was painting the hooks for us, and we were catching little bluegill like this, just nothing. It was the biggest thing. But the thing that got me was that seemed like 2 weeks ago. Right? Doesn't it seem like not that long ago? But life it moves so fast. And the thing that moves me about it is we have to be ready because life moves so fast, and you never know when our last breath will be. We see in examples like our brother Grant, hopefully the main young brother, and we don't know when our day is numbered. But the thing we don't want to go to the judgment seat when the day comes is if we have any bitterness within us or any spite or unforgiveness that we haven't forgiven. Because the sins we take to the judgment seat are the sins that will condemn us. God has given us full and free forgiveness in His Son. And we have to take full advantage of it. There are some antitypes in Scripture to teach us. We know of David, sin with Bathsheba. And you recall the story of her, I don't know if it was her uncle or some relative of Bathsheba that was cursing David and throwing stones at him, if you remember. And David's men was like, we should go kill that guy. David was, no, let it go. But the point was, David had already been forgiven by God, but this man, according to the law, was right in despising David. So he was right according to the law, but he was wrong with God because God had forgiven him. And so we have to realize that this person that believed in the legal God was bound by the law, and his vision was blinded by mere family ties. And he failed to realize that in the truth, every day that we are blessed with life is a new beginning. And that's really the focus of the exhortation. We have a new beginning every day, and even several times in one day we can start over. And this is such a blessing that we have. We can stop, take a look at what we've said or done, and be like, look, I need to change. This is wrong. And we have a new beginning every day. No matter how we've been up to that point in our lives, we truly turn from our carnal ways. We always have a fresh start with God, as David did. And it's a wonderful story, I think, that shows that. He committed murder and adultery and was forgiven. Two sins, absolutely, he was a dead man under the law. But God is not bound by law. He is merciful. And that's what we plead upon. And so we got these new beginnings. David also realized, though he was starting afresh with God, he had to bear the consequences of sin. And the principle that laid down by Christ is a divine one. When Peter came to him and said, how many times shall I forgive my brother, Lord, when he sins against me? Up to 7 times? And Jesus answered him, I tell you, not 7 times, but 7 times 7. If someone comes to us truly repentant, we have no choice but to truly forgive them. If we don't, we take that with us to the judgment seat. And this, of course, is an echo of language from Genesis that Christ is saying in Genesis chapter 4 reads, Lamech said to his wives, Adah and Zillah, listen to